is Amy Dallen, and I am absolutely delighted because today on D&D Beyond, we get to talk about some of the good, spooky stuff coming out next week in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. And joining me to break it down, to tease out all of the goodies are, of course, my teammates, Joe Starr and Michael Galvis. Hi, how y'all doing today?
I'm freaking out. Oh my god, there's so much good stuff in this book, and I finally get to talk about some of it.
I'm fine. I'm
Just okay.
I'm stoked about this book. I love me some spooky role playing, and yeah, the more every time I flip through this thing, it's like we've been saying, it's so much more than just like a Curse of Strahd follow up. There's so much cool stuff in this book, and I'm super stoked.
We will, of course, be diving into a lot of the different elements. There's so much in this book. I choose to believe, Joe, though, that you got instantly jaded. Like, by being here slightly before Michael and I, you are just like, whatever, new books, it's fine,
Yeah.
I could take a leave.
You guys are like, what, old hat for me. Candlekeep Mysteries, I'm done. That's all I needed.
The mystery is solved. So today specifically, we are going to dive into a couple of the domains of dread and then talk about one of the extremely cool monsters. And then we should be able to take a few questions at the end. So if you want to start thinking on those at the end of today's stream, we should be able to look at a few questions that you might have. And of course, it's all going to be about Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, which comes out next week. And I'm so excited about actually getting to say this because we've been sitting on it. Let's talk domains of dread. Let's talk about these incredible realms of torment and adventure. And let's talk specifically about the Carnival. The Carnival is... Yeah, first thoughts.
Out the gate, before you even jump into the description, I'm super into this. I love the Red Triangle Gang from Batman Returns. I love the weird masquerade that's in Labyrinth. Yeah, I'm into this. Just creepy circus as a whole. That's a lovely aesthetic. So I'm super glad that you were like, can we talk about this one? Because yes.
Yeah, I think this is like the first time that I opened this book and I looked in the table of contents to see what the domains of dread were. This is like my eyes fell on this one. I was like, I know immediately what this is about. I'm getting American Horror Story vibes. And then the more I've been reading about the domain of dread, the more and more I want to throw my party into it and just force them to just live the horrors of an amazing carnival.
Joys and horrors, thank you. The one heightening the other. That is something that I love. And I should note that if you would like to encounter the carnival with absolutely no idea what it is or what's coming as a player, you might want to mute for just a couple minutes here because we're going to get into it. I'm going to start with the basic description, and then we're going to get into some of the behind the scenes. And I do have to say, something I really like about the way that the major domains that have their own like large sections in the book, the way they're laid out is that they give you sort of basic info right up front. They give you an average level of knowledge of what you might know about the domain. Then they start getting into all the secrets. And every one of the major ones has a block intended to inspire you if you're making a player character from that domain. And that is one of my favorite things in this book, is that they encourage you to think from the perspective of one of the inhabitants of these realms, which is just, as much as I look forward to being an adventurer who blunders through all of these, the idea of just being like a random citizen from one of these, that's classic horror stuff, right?
Absolutely. Okay. And it makes things a lot more like if you make your character from a specific domain of dread, it makes the adventure a lot more personal as well. You could very easily be a character from Carnival and then be in a different domain of dread and be like, I need to go back to my family in the Carnival. And it just like, it's so easy to just interconnect all the domains of dread and just be terrified in so many different settings.
It's such a fun information, not that you want your character to become the exposition machine, but it's also just such a nice way to insert a part, like if you're playing a new game or adding a new player, or you know, whatever, you're freshening up and someone wants to play something new, or you know, whatever, you know, building someone out for specifically the domain that the party is delving into is just such a fun, like instant, like connective tissue, which I think is so cool. You know, you don't have to figure out a clever way to introduce these people on the road. They're the ticket taker at the carnival, you know, or the janitor. I think it's just really easy and but really like efficient too.
One of the other
Efficient.
things that,
That's my exciting word that I use at my RP table. Good Lord, Joe. This is really
love
efficient.
some good efficient decision making. What there's various other realms where that being the height of your values will make you a terrifying force. But here at the carnival, which I keep promising to talk about and keep not doing it, very sorry. I'm just so excited to finally be doing this, y'all. The carnival is one of the classic realms, one of the classic domains of dread that has been altered and updated and brought into 5th edition with a new vision, which again, as with any book, you, the DM at home, get to decide what you want to use, but I think you'll want to use a lot of this because this thing is very cool. The carnival's official description, they each have a little description at the top, is the wandering domain of wonders. And there are a few key words in there because while the domains of dread are all within the mists, this one moves. And that is one of its very special properties that we will get into in a bit. But, and again, if you're avoiding all spoilers, you've been warned, we're going to get into it. But each of the I keep saying realms, each of the domains of dread starts with a little section. In this case, the Dark Lord of the Carnival is Nepenthe. Or Nepenthe. Does anyone know how to pronounce that word? It's a mythology word that I just realized I've read 18,000 times and never said out loud.
I haven't said it out loud either, so your guess is my guess.
It's pronounced Drist. It's pronounced Drist.
Well, correct me extensively in the chat and I'll see it later. The genres is the next listing, so you can get an at-a-glance sense of the domains. And this one is body horror and dark fantasy. The hallmarks of this domain are entertainment, fey bargains, misfits, and wandering exiles. And, I love this, the mist talismans for this domain, which are going to be very important. A carnival flyer, or a colorful ticket, or a strange prize from a carnival game. Do y'all want to hear the official introduction to the carnival as we get it in the book? Joe, I'm looking just to make sure I'm allowed to just do this. I'm so excited. Resplendent with bright banners. I've moved my window. Resplendent with bright banners, calliope music, and the smells of rich food, the carnival promises visitors a surreal wonderland where any dream is possible. Garish flyers appear before the carnival's arrival, promising marvels, terrors, and a brief escape from the gloom of daily life. But nothing in the land of the mists is beyond suspicion, and the wise, no strangers, are intrinsically dangerous. The carnival doesn't exist.
Sorry, can I interrupt?
Yes,
you?
please, please.
I'm so sorry. This domain has has heralds, and I love that so much because again, like you can spring this. You can spring the carnival on your players. They're in a normal town. They're doing their normal campaign stuff, and then all of a sudden, like in a tavern they're meeting at or whatever, there's someone advertising that this carnival's coming to town. I love that so much. Like they just don't even know what's going to hit them. They're, oh, fun circus, cool. Critical Role did that once, and look what happened. They're cool. But yeah, I love this. Sorry.
I'm very excited. All right, the carnival doesn't exist to entertain its visitors. Rather, it's a traveling domain capable of visiting other domains and lands beyond the mists. Visibly marked as outsiders by birth, circumstance, intention, or talent, the carnival's troopers trade their unique performances for coin and whatever else they need to survive. Although these entertainers are well-intentioned, sinister forces travel in their wake. The longer the carnival tarries in one place, the greater the threat to the performers and visitors. So the carnival travels constantly, lest the troopers endanger the lands they visit. All right, y'all. First thoughts?
I just love that this is a traveling domain of dread, which means you could be in the middle of any campaign that you want, and just have a one shot occur in this domain of dread. Like you could be
Mhm.
in Waterdeep in the middle of Dragon Heist, be like, "Hey guys, it's the Midwinter Festival. There's a carnival in town just outside the walls. You guys want to explore?" And then boom, you guys are in some other completely different landscape, just like feeling this dilation of time and seeing all of these very absurd sort of acts that just make you feel like I'm not in Waterdeep anymore. And
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing that I like to throw in games is like there's a certain like pace and theme that you're playing with in an adventure that being able to break it up with like something like this is a great way to just breathe some more life into your campaign.
Yeah. And something I really love in the description is that they specify that the longer that the carnival tarries, the more harm it will do to its performers and its visitors. And, Michael, you mentioned it's sort of having that American Horror Story vibe to it a little bit. And I absolutely agree. And I think this is like one of the cruxes of it is that idea of the freak show came to town and it's ruining our normal town, like good normal folk are hanging out with tattooed men and that sort of like idea of the abnormal and these outsiders like sort of like twisting the norm and changing things and challenging things. So
And if you and your table choose to sort of play out a story of like whether people are greeted with hostility, that's an option that you have for it. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, and I just like of all of the domains. Well, I won't say of all because I have not read all of them, but this is a domain that like actively gets its claws like into a place, and has the ability to affect it and really like change like a place, which I just think is so fun. Yeah.
So, a lot of the section for the carnival is devoted specifically. You might have been surprised or not if you're an old school Ravenloft buff when I said who the Dark Lord of this realm was. So, again, I'm just going to repeatedly be like, if you want to not know anything about this, you might want to duck out now. But I am very intrigued by the Dark Lord of this realm because there is an unusual relationship at the heart of the leadership of this realm. There is sort of a main character and her sentient sword. So Isolde and Nepenthe, a lot of the section is devoted to the backstory of the carnival, of her backstory, and how she and the sword and the carnival all came together, and what the version of torment for these folks look like, which is a little bit different from the standard domain of dread, where one person who committed horrible crimes is being tormented by the dark powers for reasons of their own. Uh, in this case, it looks a little bit different. What did you all think, broadly and with medium spoilers, I guess, of the backstory hooks for Isolde and Nepenthe?
I was reading when I first read this, when I was going through it and I read about Isolde. Isolde?
I don't know.
Isolde?
Tristan and
Yeah,
Isolde is how I say it, but like I
Isolde.
again forgot to check how these things are pronounced. Please don't assume that I'm
Yeah.
canon. Very sorry.
When I was reading up about her, I kept reading about it, I was just like, okay, where's the part where she's this like terrible evil entity? I don't understand. I just kept going and going and going. Like, why I like this character. I like her. Why where's her gruesome crime? And then I was like, oh no, she's like like legit trapped here and she's good and it's just the way that she is being tormented is just so it just feeds on the goodness in her, which I love, and I don't know if that's a bad thing.
Well, I think you're right. It's that gothic horror, like Crimson Peak, kind of. No, this isn't like a weird like devilish or monster sort of situation. This is like I wouldn't say like intrinsically good person, but definitely like this tragic character who's like stuck in this in this weird traveling domain that also in and of itself is not necessarily like a horrible dreadful place. This is a home for freaks and outsiders, um and that can be very very good. or that can be very, very bad, right? Sort of depending on who starts to influence it and really kind of who really starts to like get their hooks in. Um, you know,
So speaking of which,
I
is there a person or a place associated with Carnival that jumped out at you? Sorry, I just got real excited about that and cut you off midway, but it was because I really want to know it. Most of the people that are listed here are good natured, but not all of them. Most of the places seem like they could have positive associations or negative ones. Is there one that jumped out at you, Joe, as particularly intriguing?
I love the and don't worry ever about cutting me off. I was just gonna make a joke about the opportunity to be able to play uh, Excalibur, the sentient version of Excalibur. Um, Excalibur. I really like Litwit Market. I think
Yes.
I love the idea of Litwit Market. Spoilers for Litwit Market. So the carnival doesn't travel alone. Wherever it goes, fey creatures chase after it, appearing on the carnival's outskirts as mysterious merchants selling dangerous enigmas and mistalisons. They peddle lost memories or love potions. They don't necessarily charge money. They might sell you something that you need for the cost of your dreams. Or the ability to speak vowels is another example in the book. Oh man, just even creepier to me than the carnival is the very twisted downtown Disney that exists around it. I I love that. This is such a cool place. Like imagine, um, this is where your MacGuffin is. This is where the thing that you guys absolutely need is, and just how casually a vendor um, would be like for the price of the following 3 memories or something like that. Like as players, we love our backstory. We love the notebook that we wrote about our paladin, and now you're just gonna take you're just gonna take a thing like the
And
Litwit
of
Market
course,
is pretty sweet.
it could combine beautifully with a lot of the other elements in this book, such as, for instance, a dark gift you might or might not pick up in the course of those bargains on your way. Michael, what stood out to you as something you can't wait to meet or run in the carnival?
I loved of the characters because they provide a list of characters to kind of like get you started. I loved the organ grinder. So it's
Aw.
a somber clown that grinds an ornate barrel organ. An attendant group of mischievous, half-trained, not quite identifiable animals caper to his music. The clown never speaks, but allows visitors to guess at the animal's nature for a copper piece. Um, Fun fact about this domain: people get hurt regularly when they are performing in the carnival. So this poor character, I just see him getting mauled by all of these half-trained animals that he has, and he's just
Michael, you're
like
mine.
he just has like a sad clown makeup. It's just the imagery is both hilarious and terrible. So this is definitely a type of NPC that I would like get my players to connect with, and then I would immediately kill him off.
I was like, oh, it'll be so nice and you can guess about the animals. And Michael was
Yeah.
like, I got this.
Nope.
I know exactly where
This
to
one's a
take this.
manticore.
That is fantastic. All right. I would also love, before we switch over to our next subject, to get one of you to please grab for me a D4.
Oh, while I'm grabbing my D4, Amy, did you have anybody? You don't have to just be the professional question asker. Did you have any NPCs that you liked?
I fell in love with the whole thing. I'm honestly most intrigued by the basic backstory for Isolde and Nepenthe. But I will say who's the I forgot to write down the name and I've misplaced the tab I wanted. Very sorry, y'all. But it's because I pulled it down here to read and then I didn't know where it went. I'm very professional and you're all very glad I'm here. I love Amelia the Vampire. So
Mm.
Amelia, who is a scout with a flying speed of 30 feet, is a cheery acrobat aided in her performances by a pair of leathery wings that allows her to fly. Before stepping on stage, she powders her face, affects a somber accent, and pretends to be undead. That is
Also,
classic circus fakery. The point is to put on a good show you know?
Mhm.
And I love that it's like that obviously has a lot of story possibilities to carry you from there. But she just sounds like a delight, and I'm excited to meet her in a game.
Also a great NPC to kill off.
To briefly meet her before Michael brutally murders her and breaks all of our hearts. It's gonna be really, really great. There's some fantastic art in this section that y'all will get to see soon. Floor dice don't count, Joe Starr.
I'm good. I'm ready.
Please, if you would. So a lot of these domains will have an adventure table. So there's a little one at the back of the carnival. And again, if you want to be completely surprised, I hope you've already tuned out by now. But I would love to know. I'm running the carnival. I need some ideas. Joe Starr, please roll on the carnival adventure table.
I will. Hey, and I rolled a 4.
All right. So, oh, this is a good one. Okay, so potentially in our adventure at the carnival, the characters find a mirror holding the disembodied reflection of Tyndaphilus, a mage trapped by his own reflection. He wants the party to find his duplicate, who escaped with a mysterious carnival. And when you've read the rest of the section, you will understand that that clicks some story pieces into place. It's one thing I love in this book is that like there's just story hiding in every sentence that you can connect to other story in other places in the giant red string board of your dreams for the Domains of Dread. But yeah, what do you think? That'll be our first adventure in the carnival.
I love it.
I like yeah, I'm very down for chasing a wizard's duplicate, and he works in the Litwick market, and somehow we're going to spin it so that at least 4 carnival employees can be killed by Michael.
So that is it for our preview of the carnival. You will get to see the rest for yourself when this comes out on May 18th. You can pre-order it right now and get some cool dice and other stuff. I'm just saying, I legitimately think that's really neat on D&D Beyond.
Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, a new vision of horror from the maniacal minds that brought you Curse of Strahd. Explore over 30 domains of dread to terrorize your table, or use the ghastly guide to create your own. Let loose your dark side with all new character subclasses. Unleash fresh nightmares with dozens of malevolent monsters. Pre-order for chilling bonuses and perks. Subscribe to share this twisted content with your table. Face your fears. Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. Pre-order now on the D&D Beyond Marketplace. Or else.